So I had a chance to look at the second night of the Democratic debates. And this is the particular debate had Marianne Williamson on the stage. Now, remember, a lot of us was trying to donate at least $1 to her to get her on the stage. And she said that she would bring up reparations on the debate stage. Well, I want to show you the first clip of her actually doing that.
These issues are extremely important, but there are specifics, there are symptoms, and the underlying cause has to do with deep realms of racial injustice, both in our criminal justice system and in our economic system. And the Democratic Party should be on the side of reparations for slavery for this very reason. I do not believe that the average American is a racist, but the average American is woefully undereducated about the history of race in the United States.
Ms. Williamson, thank you very much.
Vice President Biden, I'm going to...
Now, in that particular clip, she factored in police brutality and brought up reparations, which that is something that reparations should be covering, is the great state-sanctioned racialized terrorism that we have suffered at the slave patrol and then morphed into the municipal police department itself. Now, you notice it wasn't that many claps at all, right? Because you know good and well, if you looked at the crowd, like I looked at the crowd, it wasn't many of us in there at all. So that sounds about right with the claps. Now, when she brought up reparations, notice nobody jumped in and say anything about reparations or HR 40 or anything. Everybody stayed quiet. And NBC tried to say, okay, we got to move on, because they do not want to talk about reparations at all. But reparations is a conversation that's not going away. You must pay what you owe. It's just that simple. Now, many of us are saying no reparations, no vote, and we are serious on that. Now, Marianne Williamson on her website, and I looked at this, she actually proposed a number, even though we know the number needs to be much higher than what she's proposing. But at least she had something on her website talking about some sort of number for reparations, and she supports that. None of the candidates as Democrats support reparations at all. All they support is a study or a commission, and that's it. So I said this in the past, that if you're going to push no reparations, no vote, and you get someone talking about reparations willing to blurt out reparations at the right time, it wasn't just like, oh, we blurting out reparations and doesn't match it when you should say it, then it's something that we should look more and more into. Because what I learned about these debates that I've seen that they have their favorites, okay? Their favorites that I saw was Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. Those four for sure. They kept asking them so many questions. And then the ones they did not like, from what I was noticing as well, of course, Marianne Williamson, they don't like her. Tulsi Gabbard, they don't like her. And on that first night, she made that dude look stupid. He didn't know who they was fighting. He wanted to bring up the Taliban, and they was fighting Al Qaeda. That dude was silly, okay? And also, they didn't want to ask Andrew Yang anything. Now, I'm not saying I support the man's campaign, but I was noticing that they did not want to ask questions to the people that I named. And I'm like, why you want to ask them questions? I mean, they're running for president too. I mean, a proper debate should be you ask a question, the same question to everybody, and give everybody a chance to respond. So I saw a lot of biasness out of MSNBC, very, very biased. And this is why a lot of people don't like the corporate media at all. It's because they clearly show their favoritism and clearly show their bias toward particular candidates. And that wasn't right. Now, moving on, the next thing that I saw that really caught my attention was Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala went out swinging this time. You know, in the debate, she wanted to go after Joe Biden and his record. And that was very interesting exchange, but if you haven't seen that exchange, we'll go ahead and roll that clip.
To speak on the issue of race.
Senator Harris,
If
I could preface this, we will give you 30 seconds of this. We're going to come back to you on this again in just a moment. Go for 30 seconds.
Okay. So on the issue of race, I couldn't agree more that this is an issue that is still not being talked about truthfully and honestly. There is not a black man I know, be he a relative, a friend, or a coworker, who has not been the subject of some form of profiling or discrimination. Growing up, my sister and I had to deal with the neighbor who told us her parents couldn't play with us because we were black. And I will say also that in this campaign, we've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Senator Harris, thank you. Vice President Biden, you have been invoked. We are going to give you a chance to respond. Vice President Biden.
It's a mischaracterization of my position across the board. I did not praise racist. That is not true, number one. Number two, if we want to have this campaign litigated on who supports civil rights and whether I did or not, I'm happy to do that. I was a public defender. I didn't become a prosecutor. I came out and I left a good law firm to become a public defender when in fact my city was in flames because of the assassination of Dr. King. Number one. Number two, as the Vice President of the United States, I work with a man who, in fact, we worked very hard to see to it we dealt with these issues in a major, major way. The fact is that in terms of busing, you would have been able to go to school the same exact way because it was a local decision made by your city council. That's fine. That's one of the things I argued for, that we should be breaking down these lines. But so the bottom line here is, look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
I have supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran for the
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds, because I want to bring other people into this.
I supported the ERA from the very beginning. I'm the guy that extended the Voting Rights Act for 25 years. We got to the place where we got 98 out of 98 votes in the United States Senate doing it. I've also argued very strongly that we, in fact, deal with the notion of denying people access to the ballot box. I agree that everybody, once they, in fact, they should. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Vice.
Now, as you saw Kamala, she went right at Joe Biden about that busing issue, and yes, he did say that. Now, what I don't like about Joe Biden, he won't own up to things that he said. Joe, you said it. Say, yes, I did say that. At the time, I did feel that way. It was wrong. Say something. One thing about Joe Biden, he does something, he hunkers down into it. No different than Trump. Now, Joe Biden is the man that's responsible for mass incarceration in the modern time with his 1994 crime bill that he authored, okay? Want to make sure you say that. He authored that crime bill. He don't want to accept that he brought in mass incarceration. He wanted to accept that his crime bill made it an incentive to the states for them to increase the time to get more federal funds. He didn't want to sit up here and want the states to make people serve 85% of their sentences. He did that. But this guy want to run for president? Like, no. So then when Kamala went back and forth with him, I noticed that Donald Trump started defending Joe Biden. I said, That's interesting that he's defending Joe Biden. But see, at the end of the day, it reminded me of what my grandfather used to say. My grandfather used to say that when you're dealing with people like that, he always used to say 2 white sheets don't fade on another. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, look, they can argue with each other, fight with each other all day long. They want to kill each other. But the moment you interject yourself into it, then they'll both turn on you, meaning Kamala. Now, notice, after Kamala went after Joe Biden with this, okay, all of a sudden the same mainstream media that was all Kamala, now they're bringing up her prosecutor record all of a sudden. Now they all of a sudden Donald Trump Jr. talking about her blackness, which is the most racist crap that you could think of to talk about. So all of a sudden now they're attacking Kamala now. I noticed. I said, they wasn't attacking her before. Now, we talked about Kamala and her record with black men in particular, and also black mothers. And we in the black community have every right to talk about Kamala and what she has done. But why all of a sudden you worrying about what Kamala did to black people? No, because you're trying to defend Joe Biden because you're like, how dare this woman, even though she has a Indian mother and a Jamaican father, how dare this black woman, because that's how they're going to look at her, no matter if she's married to a Jewish guy, how dare this black woman going to speak to this white man in this way? That's exactly how they responded. I just shook my head. I said, boy, these people never change, do they? Never change. But this whole conversation after that about all of a sudden you want to talk about how black Kamala is. And I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. That'll be for the podcast. But what I'm saying out this whole Democrat debate, it looked very MSNBC did not do a good job at all. They couldn't get their microphones right. They clearly were biased. They clearly push issues that they want in the forefront, and black people aren't in any type of those issues. Now, once again, like I said in my last video, I don't blame the candidates for the questions asked because MSNBC asked those questions. It wasn't them, okay? But we all know and got to listen very clear the people that they want to look out for. Now, if MSNBC want to deal with another 4 years of Trump, you keep on pushing the issues that you're pushing and saying forget black people. Forget reparations, forget police brutality, forget, the issues that we're having with home loans and education and school to prison. Look, you can forget all those issues, and I promise you Donald J. Trump will be the president again. You keep playing with black people if you want to. This is not an issue we're playing with this time. Barack Obama woke us up. I want to repeat that again. It's not Trump, it's Barack Obama. We got to sit here and watch him scold black people, talk down to black people. He didn't do that to nobody else. Barack Obama called black people thugs when they was hurt and they was in pain and not getting any justice when it come to Ferguson. Oh, I remember when Barack Obama called them thugs. If he understood anything that we went through in this nation, then he wouldn't have said that term. If anything, he would have tried to bring a word of healing to those people, and him being the president fixed those issues so those things wouldn't happen again. But he couldn't connect with us like that because he don't have our story. So when people do bring up, it's legitimate. Let's use the word culture. Black American culture and what we go through and what we have been through for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. They want to call it ADOS. But someone from Jamaica, someone from Nigeria, someone from whatever place they come from, they can't really connect to it. They can sympathize, they can empathize with it, but they don't have that connection that we have in this country with, the history we have with the racialized terrorism, KKK, slave patrol, police, you name it, we've been through it in this country, okay? So when people talk about black Americans and what we go through and what we are fighting for, is not a diss to anyone else, at least coming from me. It's not a diss. Come on, our channel is African Diaspora News Channel. I'm not dissing nobody from that diaspora. But I have to understand that at the end of the day, I am a black American. My family was on the plantation fields in Louisiana on a sugarcane plantation. I have a connection to that, and we got to get our reparations. It's just that simple. We ain't backing off on that at all. The thing is, with Barack Obama, he woke us up. He woke us up to how he did everything for everybody else. but he did nothing for us. I'm talking about for us specifically. Us specific. No, not Affordable Care Act. That's everybody. Not that. No, we talking about us specifically. He did not do that. It woke us up, and then now we're serious about what's going on. They always try to say, why didn't you ask Barack Obama? We didn't, because we wasn't there yet. Now our eyes are open. Now we're focusing on reparations. That's how it is. So you think it's a joke, or you think it's a game, that's fine. That conversation isn't going away no time soon. And if you don't want to go along with what you owe, well, like I said, expect a President Trump and a President Pence and a President Pence again and whoever else that Pence picked. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not going to vote for nobody. That's how I look at it. I'm not going to vote for no Trump. But the fact is, we as Black Americans are tired of the benign and neglect. We're tired of watching everybody else get something from politicians and we get nothing. We're tired of trying to be shamed into voting. We're tired of being talked down to. We're tired of being treated like fifth-class citizens. Either we take a stand on that, or we just go all the way in the sunset and just fall off and die. That's about what we at with it. So we're at a position now with this particular politics in this country is that we have nothing to lose anymore. And that's a perfect place to be in. We have nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose with Donald Trump. We don't. You can't threaten us with Donald Trump. We have nothing to lose anymore. Y'all done took it all away. Y'all done gutted voting rights. Now you're trying to attach other groups of people to what we fought for civil rights. I mean, it's just like I said, we ain't got nothing to lose. So I say, y'all can do the fear tactics. It's not gonna work anymore. It's not. You can try to divide black men and black women with voting. Not gonna work, because black women have seen the light too. They've seen it. They say, oh yeah, they playing games and saying we the backbone of the Democratic Party, but at the end of the day, black women are looked out for. Why black women ain't running that party if they the backbone? Well, you never had a black woman to run a full term, not an interim like Donna Brazile. I'm talking about a full term. You never picked a black woman, but the black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. Where's the black women senators? Where's the black women Congress people y'all running since they the backbone? Notice that? I noticed it. It's just games, and black women have woke up to your games. So let's see how things are going to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very interesting to see. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the situation with the Democratic debates. Definitely was a circus, and I personally believe that MSNBC should never be allowed to host a debate ever again. That was horrible. The biasness was horrible. I mean, I think they really cheated the people out of actually hearing from every candidate so they can make an actual decision, personally. I just feel that way. I can see some of the candidates are clearly upset, bothered, that they were just literally just overlooking them, and if they didn't interrupt and say nothing, then they wasn't going to be asked anything. But that's why most people don't watch the mainstream media. They're sick of the biasness.